Hi everyone, this is Paris Debono and Amanda of the Fortune. Let me do it again. All right.
I know,
So,
that's like,
yeah.
yes.
There's a question. All right.
Okay, sorry. Very serious. We're very serious
All right.
and collected.
All right. Hi everyone, this is Paris and Amanda, and we're going to be talking about stuff about fortune telling. And this is from the Fortune Teller Shop. Okay. So Amanda, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to look at these silly questions.
Okay,
These
we're going to
silly
look at
psychic
silly
questions. Yes.
So these are typically questions that people ask fortune tellers and card readers, and especially I think these questions come up a lot for people who work in a public setting. So, if you're out doing readings, like I've had experiences where I've worked in markets, especially open air markets, and people are, having fun and sort of wandering around, and they sort of see a reader or a card reader, psychic, whatever, and they'll come up and they'll usually sprout one of these questions. So,
Right. So, yeah, let's go ahead and go through them. So these are the top 10 silly psychic questions. So
okay.
number 10, are you from the devil, Paris?
I have actually had this question thrown at me several times, and usually I go into a bit of shock, like, oh, how am I going to answer this?
I have horns?
Yeah, exactly. I've literally had religious people outside of my shop in Sydney, this was, praying at my shop. And I remember being behind the red curtain, and they couldn't see me, or they didn't know that I was there. But I could hear everything they were saying. And they were saying things like, oh, this place is, the devil's work. It's evil. I even heard one woman say, don't touch the shop. Don't even touch it.
It's evil.
Yeah. So what I should have done is just like opened the curtains. Hi.
I'm the devil. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So I have had that question thrown at me. I don't know. What do I usually say? I usually say, no, this is not from the devil. It's not to do with religion. It's to do with intuition. Yeah, I don't even know. I've had different answers over the years. I think when I feel like debating with someone, I'll go into religious thought. Often I'll say, astrology is thousands of years old. The devil's only 2,000 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and this is way older. And
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing to do with religion. So, have you had that question?
Oh yes.
You?
Yeah, of course. But it's not so much directed at me personally, because I read for friends, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or I've read for friends in the past, or I am the person that gave people their first tarot reading. And
Right.
so I know that you experience that in Malta all the time. A lot of anxiety, so much superstition, so much misinformation about what tarot really is, and that it's confounding to people. And so what they don't understand, then it's usually much easier to just demonize it. And that's just really, really, truly unfair. So I've got my spiel that I usually give people when I tell people that I'm a reader, because sometimes people are shocked.
Yeah.
They're like, what? They don't even know what that means. They don't understand it at all. And then they're looking at me, not necessarily out of fear, but just like real confusion. I say, listen, the cards, they're images. They reflect what's inside of us.
Yeah.
We ourselves only have access to so much in our own minds.
Yeah.
The images help uncover some of the stuff that's going on in ourselves that we are not even aware of on like a very, very conscious level. It's more in the subconscious. And, tarot is a tool that is used for good.
Yeah.
Tarot is not used for bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be, and there's bad people out there that do, that claim that they're readers, but whatever. I can't give them that energy. I want to tell people that tarot is a very personal and wonderful practice, and it can give you answers to things that you already have inside of you.
Yeah.
Is that devil? Is that the devil? No.
Exactly. I often say to people, it's like a knife. You can use a knife to make a sandwich, or you could use a knife to kill somebody with. So it's not the knife itself that's good or bad. It's just a tool. And it's the same with tarot cards. You could use it to scare people, to scam people, but that's not the cards themselves. They're just a tool. I have had one woman one time when I used to work in a shop called Inner Harmony. It was inside a shopping complex, and I remember I was sitting at my table at the front of the shop reading a book. I wasn't busy with the client, and this woman came up to me and said, "You look like the devil." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I think I was reading Harry Potter at the time.
Devilishly handsome.
Yeah. I was reading Harry Potter at the time, so I don't know whether it was because I was reading Harry Potter that she thought that, or I don't know. But I remember sitting there reading one of the Harry Potter books, and she came up and she just said that to me, and I thought, that's so abusive. It's so abusive to walk up to somebody and say something like that. Whether you agree with what they're doing or not, it's like, oh. And I think I was
not
a bit
hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Like what? That's just it's hard when you come across people.
I think I was in shock when she said it, and I think I said to her, I can't remember because it was a while, but I think I said something like, "No, that's not that's not what I'm about," or something like that, and then she just walked off. So yeah, it does happen. I think it's less common these days.
Scared, like you were talking about your family and growing up and in the church and it being seen as the devil's work, or I don't know. So I'm trying somehow to usurp God's power or something like that when that's absolutely no.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about tarot as well is probably all of the symbols in the tarot deck are all in the Bible as well.
Totally.
So we have the lovers, Adam and Eve. We have, temperance, the angels. We have the devil. We have the tower. They're all in there. We have the magicians.
Babylon.
Yeah, it's all in there. So it's kind of funny how people that are religious are scared of the tarot, but the symbols are actually the same as the Bible. And it's the journey. It's the journey of it's sort of like the fool, the journey, and then you've got the empress, the mother. You've got the father. Yeah, it's all in there, And,
it's the cast of characters that you meet along the journey of life and the lessons that you learn from those experiences. That's the fool's journey. That's the journey of the major arcana, and those lessons come back to us at different points in our lives.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of tarot. You know what I mean? It's not just linear. Yeah, sometimes it's cyclical. Right. Sometimes you're destined to repeat the same cycle in order to break it eventually. And that for me is the power of the tarot.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. All right. So what's number 9?
Will I get lucky, Paris?
Will I get lucky? Oh, that is a popular one.
Paris.
Yeah. Will I win the lottery? Will I get lucky? Yeah. When that one's thrown at me, what do I usually respond? Sometimes I'll say, well, it depends on how you play the game. I don't know. Sometimes I'll come up with something, but
I'll say you want to. Well, we can do a, like what kind of luck are we looking at here?
Yeah.
there's some, I mean, this makes me think of the tarot group, tarot.
Yeah.
Because, so, I mean, a lot of the readings can be, especially if they're anonymous, more sexual in nature. We've talked about this before in one of our discussions about, people being embarrassed asking these sort of questions. Because, yes, of course, they want to get the lotto numbers. Yeah, everybody wants to be rich. That's not how tarot works. It's not, you have to you have to manifest your own luck and your own karma. And that's why it's important that you put good stuff out there. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to get lucky if you're not even putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Lucky is sort of a state of mind as well, because, sometimes people, sometimes people think they're having a bad life, but then when you compare it to like people who are in a war or, it's like, well, actually, is your life really, really that bad? Are you just having a bad day? But, compared to others. So when people say to me, am I going to get lucky? It depends what they mean by that. If it's more like get lucky sexually, I would say, well, it depends how, are you dating? Are you meeting? Are you going out? If it's more like lucky as in winning a lottery, I often would, sometimes if I'm with them, if they're willing, sometimes I'll pull a card for them and see if they got luck.
Let's see. Okay, not this one, but okay, this one has some lucky cards in it. So it's like usually, okay, will I get lucky? Okay.
All right. General question. All right.
General question. We'll pull 2 cards, right? This is the Nona deck.
Okay, Nona deck. Yep.
Nona deck. Will I get lucky?
But how about you do 2 for me and then 2 for you?
Okay. Well, look at that.
The bow and arrow.
Sure looks good.
That's good. Okay, so I've got to shoot a few arrows. Okay, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm. That's a very lucky card. Lucky in love.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. All right. Well, this is it. Oh
no. Oh dear. Black cat. Well, cat.
It says the black cat is the sign of bad luck.
Oh no. But
see, then you have these contradicting things. So how do you reconcile
what else
those
does
two?
it say? What else does the black cat card say?
It says the black cat is a sign of bad luck, but if near number 18, exceptionally good luck.
Okay. And what number is the arrow?
23. The bow and arrow is 23.
All right, so my luck's not going to be that great, but I'll shoot some arrows anyway.
Well, yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well then. Okay. So am I supposed to ask myself? Ask if I am going to have any luck. Any luck.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if you get lucky.
Let's see. Come on. Sure, I could use some luck. All right. What do we have?
Come on. What is that? The road?
This is the crossroads.
Crossroads
foretell an important decision to be made or a change in business conditions. If on the right side of the results will be favorable, if on the left, unfavorable. If far away, not too important.
Okay.
So we've got the crossroads, so a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Hopefully this decision will be one that brings me some luck. The ear.
Okay.
So I gotta listen. Someone is spying.
Oh no, spying.
Someone is spying.
Maybe getting headhunted. You might get headhunted and offered a job.
Yeah, who knows?
A new job.
It may be an enemy if near 16 or 26 friendly. So these were, well, okay, sorry. This way.
Not so lucky, but not too bad either.
No. It's like, well.
Maybe you'll hear something that leads to a choice, and then you've got a bit of luck in that.
Yeah, exactly. But this has the horseshoe in it, and
more, overt luck cards. Yeah.
Yes, which is fun. I like these ones.
Yeah,
this the ivy.
Yeah. Ivy's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It means what does it mean? Like a faithful
long
marriage?
and happy marriage. Yeah,
yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful little card, and I really love the bee. The bee.
Yeah, B.
but it means, being stung.
Yeah. See, I see the B as a hardworking person and like busy as a bee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me too. And
that's
it's
how I
just
read that one.
gorgeous.
Yeah, they're very cute, those cards.
Yes, they're fun. I like the different connections. It says if it's near this, then that. It feels more
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
it's fun.
game. It feels more
Yeah,
like
it's
a
fun.
game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. All right, so let's go on to the next question. What do we have here? We have, when will I die?
Okay, yes. Well, look, when sometimes people
I would
try
never
to,
ask that. I'm sorry. I would never ask that.
yeah, no, that's crazy. Some people online actually make posts about that I
I
don't
wouldn't want to
I
do
don't
that.
allow. Yeah, I usually
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
reject
no.
those. I have been asked that. Usually, it's young males that ask that, young men, and I say to them, why would you want to know that? And sometimes I'll say, no, I don't tell you when you're going to die. I tell you how you can live better, or
Hmm.
what
Exactly.
ways you can improve your life.
Flip it.
Yeah, and sometimes I have had people that ask me that, and maybe they're concerned about their health, like it's a serious question. I have had
Oh,
people that
okay.
have asked me that for serious questions, and I'll say to them, "Are you concerned about your life?" And some people say, "Yes, have to have an operation, and do you think I'm going to pass away?" I have had that. Usually, those ones are older people, though, but the ones that are more like silly, they're usually young guys that are just being silly.
They're
So,
like, oh, yeah, a throwaway question.
yeah, yeah,
No, there's so many more interesting questions to ask. And,
yeah,
and I actually, on the group, there was a big long post about it, because there was someone, I can't remember which reader it was, but they were also doing, like, I think they also did astrology as well. And in India, it's a different situation altogether for
yeah.
marriage readings and for death readings and stuff like that. They very, very much believe in
They're open.
astrology, and they want to know, and they
Yeah,
expect an answer.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's a different situation than, like, someone playing a joke, or
yeah, 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 yeah.
it's not usually
I have
morbid.
seen,
Actually, it's not
yeah,
generally morbid. That's a question that tells you that I don't believe in tarot.
yeah, yeah. That's more like, I think the young men that just throw that out there, and I think they're trying to be cool, and they're trying to show that I'm not afraid as well. But I have had times when I have predicted death,
Yeah,
and like I know the Queen Elizabeth II. I have a
you did.
video. Yeah,
I
I have a
remember.
video of it. I mean, and obviously she was old, but the cards were showing that she was going to go,
Yes,
and that
very
Charles was
clearly.
going to take over. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I have a video on that on YouTube.
That
But
was like literally the day or two before she died, too. I remember
I
that.
think it was a while before she died. No, I think wasn't that close. I think she was still generally doing well,
Uh-huh.
health wise.
Hmm. Hmm.
But so I remember, yeah, it just was showing death energy in the cards. So that was a
Yeah.
good video because it showed how you can see real death. And I have had times when I have predicted, that someone wouldn't live long, but I've also had times when the cards wouldn't tell me either. Like one of my friends a few years ago, going back maybe 5 years, his mother had cancer and she was at the end of her life, and the cards wouldn't tell me. They kept
They wouldn't.
throwing things like the Wheel of Fortune and the Temperance card, and they wouldn't sort of show. They didn't show me death cards. So sometimes the tarot actually doesn't want to show it either. It's kind of strange.
I've had that very frequently with my cards sometimes. Sometimes it won't tell me about certain things. Sometimes
Yeah,
it'll put ideas into my head. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I
maybe
had
I'm
a
just not ready to hear it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Maybe, or the person that wants to hear it is not ready to hear it, and you just have to trust. For me, I just trust the cards to
yeah.
tell me when
Trust
I'm
me.
to
Yeah.
tell me when I'm ready. I mean, because this was very personal for me too, because I just put my dog down a couple months
Oh,
ago,
right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't a person, but
Yeah.
it was very
Yeah.
much like a person to me.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, she was my
Absolutely.
family member. And, you know, it was one of those things where I really didn't know if it was her
Yeah.
time. I really, truly didn't know at that time when I was doing the readings if it
Mm-hmm.
was her time. She hadn't told me yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
She hadn't told me yet.
Yeah.
And, you know, then I got the fool, which was the dog jumping off of
Yeah. Yeah. I think
the
I saw
cliff.
that post.
You
Did
did,
you
you
make
did.
a
You
post?
commented on it, you know, and
Yeah.
it was her time, and she was
She was
telling me
ready to go. Yeah. She was ready
that it
to
was
go.
her time. And so, you know, it's
Yeah.
my job to listen. And, you know, I
Yeah.
was ready to hear that message, whereas
Yeah.
not everybody is able to hear those messages.
And
And then after that, I did.
it
Go
was
ahead,
such a
sorry.
beautiful card as well. The Fool. You know, it
Hmm.
wasn't a terrible card. It was more
No,
like going to another
another
side,
adventure.
another adventure. Yeah. So the
Yeah,
Fool
the
card.
ears were up
Yeah.
and it
Yeah, the Fool
was,
card, you know, for people that don't know, it's got a dog. It's got a dog with its owner, and they're near the cliff. So it's sort of suggesting that it's going to the other side or another place on another journey. So
hmm. And the one that
yeah,
the version I did, the Curious Creatures one, and it
yeah,
had the dog literally. It was only the dog
yeah, yeah, yeah. There it is.
that
Beautiful.
was like that flew off. So
Yeah,
anyway, it was a very clear message to me, and understandable to want to know, to have guidance, because death is such a big thing. But tarot tends to help you more with grief.
yeah, 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 yeah. You know, one time I did see it was my boss when I was working again at in a Harmony, the shop. My boss there, she owned the New Age store, but she wasn't a real believer in fortune telling. She thought it was fun and interesting, and she liked having a fortune teller in the shop, but she wasn't really a believer so much. But at one time, she came to work with her dog. I remember it was a little poodle sort of dog, and she said to the owner said to me, "Read my dog's future." Right? And I thought, okay, a little bit of fun. So we pretended to get the dog to choose. I fanned the cards out on the table, and we got the dog to choose a card. And the dog chose the Chariot, and we were
Yeah,
laughing.
a
You know,
car,
we were laughing.
right?
The card, yeah. But then
Oh, I think.
the next card was the Tower, and I was like, oh. I don't know. I didn't know what to say, and I thought, oh, that's not a chariot and tower together. I
It's a
said, "Oh,
car
look,
breakdown. That's a car crash, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah." And
I
I
mean,
said,
in my practice, that's very clearly what it is. You know what I mean?
"Yeah, yeah." But what happened was the next day or 2 days later, the dog got hit by a car and died. And so the owner of the shop came to work crying one morning, and I was like, "What happened?" And she said her dog got hit by a car. And we saw it in the cards, but I didn't make a big deal of it. I said, oh, just be careful. I think I said something like, just be careful of, her in the car or something. I don't know. And then we just changed the subject. But then so the cards were actually predicting in that case.
It was a warning.
Yeah,
It's
it was a
hard
warning.
sometimes because it doesn't always feel like warnings when you get warnings from
Yeah,
cards.
yeah, yeah.
So that's for me, like that's about the intuition, because like for me, like when I'm away from my cards for a long time, we've talked about this, you take a
Yeah,
break or you don't read and you get rusty, you can't remember all of the
yeah,
meanings don't come to you as quickly, the intuitive flow is harder to tap into, but it's like the cards, well, I mean, I have a certain relationship with my cards. My cards are
yeah,
give me attitude sometimes.
yeah. Mine do too. They're
Like I'm
funny
thinking
sometimes.
about that one reading that you did about, the fake honor one. Like my
Yeah,
cards have totally done that exact same thing. You ask a question and it's like, we're not,
yeah,
that's a joke.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
stupid joke. We're gonna just like, we're just gonna screw with you here.
yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah,
let's see where this takes us. Let's play a little game with
yeah.
you.
They're funny sometimes. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I have a client and I'll just sort of, I don't know, sometimes the combination of the client and what the cards are saying to the client makes me laugh too. Like I think, oh,
Oh
they're
my
being
God,
really
it's
cheeky,
hilarious when they call other people out. I love it when my
Yeah,
cards
yeah,
call
it's
other
great.
people out. It's so nice. I'm like,
Yeah, it's great.
see, I'm
Yeah.
not the only idiot in this
Yeah.
situation. You know, they're
So
like,
true.
oh God, it's that meme that you say, yeah, all of your problems, they're all yours
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of
yeah,
you. And they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
pull more cards.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh,
Very good.
oh my God. So, are you for real?
I,
That's the next
oh
question.
God. I had a woman yesterday, like she knocked on my door, so I opened the door and she said, "Are you any good?" I was like, I said,
I
my
suck. I
first,
suck. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah, yeah.
really
My
horrible.
first instinct was to say, no, I'm not good. But then I thought, no, because she'll probably think that's true. So I normally say, well, I have a shop. So if I'm not very good, then I'd probably be out of business. And she
Yes.
said, you still didn't say, yes, you're good. So are
Oh,
you for real? I have had that one thrown at me too. No, I've had, do you believe this stuff? So I've had people
oh
walk
yeah.
into my shop and say, do you believe this stuff?
You're
So,
like, yeah.
like, no, I don't believe it. I just created a whole shop around it, but I don't believe in the product. Yeah, it's interesting to me too that sometimes people will say the cards can't tell the future. Sometimes I've had instances when I'm just shuffling the cards, I'm not even asking them
Hmm.
anything, and they'll say something, you know.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
so it surprises me that people that play with tarot cards or shuffle them or have them think that they can't tell the future because they just say stuff, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't know. When I see those posts, I think, what is this person doing with their readings then? If they, you can quickly learn that this is
Yeah.
telling you something. Same as the coffee cup readings that we were talking about before. Like when you look at a coffee cup or teacup reading, at first it just looks like a clump of tea leaves. But when you look at it and sort of ponder it, you start to see symbols. You just can't help it. It's the human mind. Same as looking in clouds. If you stare at clouds, you'll start to see animal,
Hmm.
figures,
Faces.
faces. So it's sort of like it's kind of strange when people don't think that it's possible when it's just so obvious.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's the difference of like, and I mean, that's why I brought up free will, because I think that people misunderstand.
Yeah.
I think they just really misunderstand some things about tarot, and I think that's why they are compelled to ask these kinds of questions.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
tarot will show you. It will give you messages.
Yeah.
It
You
will
can't
give you
stop it.
advice.
You
It will
can't
give you
stop it from
guidance.
giving you messages. It will give you messages whether you
Right.
are
Now,
wanting to or not.
what is this message? Is it a message of slow down, or is
Yeah.
it a message of speed up?
Yeah.
Is it a message of not now?
Yeah.
Or are you asking more, nuanced questions about like, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
Or how can I improve my relationship with either myself or with others? Right? That's all real. And tarot can help you with that. And the
Yeah.
tarot can tell you what may happen if you continue down this trajectory, but it's up to
Yeah.
you to continue down that trajectory, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's not a good one. And
Yeah.
that's when the tarot will tell you, hey, go in
Yeah.
another direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it's real. And yes, you
It's
can you
real.
can predict the
It's
future.
real.
And yes, you can
Absolutely.
predict pregnancy. That was another thing that I was
Yeah.
you're dealing with humans, you know what I mean? As you were saying about we have to be able to answer the human questions
Yeah.
that keep us up at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, what am I thinking?
Oh, okay. Yes, I have had this one as well. What am I thinking? Usually I say I'm not a mind reader, Usually I'll say I'm a tarot reader. So you have to pull out some tarot cards, So that's usually how I get around that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because then you can just show them real fast.
Yeah.
You're like, I can tell you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll say I'm not a mind. You're thinking of a mind reader. I don't read minds. I read cards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, you get people. Well, I mean, you come across skeptics all the time, right? And so that's their way of testing you or something,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which
Yeah.
just shows that they just don't
I'm
understand.
thinking of something. What am I thinking of? It's like, well, I don't know. I have to read your cards or your astrology or your palm to find out. But yeah, so they're sort of obviously, testing. What's my name?
Oh, that's number two. Well,
Oh, right. Yeah. That's a popular one. Yeah. If you're real, then you can tell me my name. You can tell me how old I am.
Well, you said
So.
your name, that Julie. I remember you watching one of your old videos where you did end up guessing pretty close.
Oh yeah, Jules. Yeah, Jules. Yeah, that was an
Julie, or
interesting
Jules.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
interesting story. Yeah. So what happened was a woman came into my shop and she said, if you are real or true or whatever, she said, tell me my name. And I kind of was in a bit of a fighting mood. So I sort of went, all right, let's
all
see.
right.
So then I got her to pull out a card and I think she pulled out the ring.
Uh-huh.
And I said, oh, the ring, ruby. I was saying ruby, crystal. Yeah. So I knew her name probably wasn't gold. So because it was a gold ring, I said ruby, crystal, jewelry. And then she ended up being in shock because then she said her name was Jules. Her nickname was Jules.
That's
so when
hilarious.
I was trying to figure out her name, I kept saying things like ruby, diamond, ruby, gold. So I just sort of spun those out, and her name was Jules, and she ran out of the shop.
And never returned.
And never returned. She was so shocked.
She's like, it is real.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have two more questions. Number 3, am I drunk?
Am I drunk? I have had drunk people show up at my shop, which I refuse to do the readings. So
Yeah.
I actually have turned away people who are drunk.
Too drunk.
Yeah, there was 3 ladies a few months back. 3 ladies. I opened the door and I could smell alcohol straight away.
Yeah.
And I said to them, they said, oh, how, are you open or whatever? And I said, oh, have you been drinking? And they said, yes. And I said, okay, well, you can't get a reading if you've been drinking.
Yeah.
And they were like, why not? And I said, because, you're not going to be in the right frame of mind and you're
not
in
going
a
to
party
remember.
mood. Yeah, you're in a party mood. I said, you should go and continue your partying and then come tomorrow or the next day and I'll do you a proper reading. And they actually did. They turned up like 2 days later.
Good.
So that was good. Yeah. And also when I had a shop in Sydney, my shop was located near a few pubs as well. So often I would have people, who were drinking, come by and want a reading. And I would say no, I'd say come back when you're in a more sober mood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't want to get readings.
Yeah.
No, you want to remember them. I mean, because I was reflecting on my first tarot reading, on my first professional reading, that we talked about the last time. Like I actually remember what the questions were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I remember readings from more than 25 years ago.
Same with me, because there's such an event, especially
when
you
pay for I mean, like that's
pay for them. Yeah.
Because I mean, you and I were talking about this, as far as free readings or these study groups and stuff, and the generosity of trying to help people, and like really get into those those mindsets of, okay, well, how can we help each other learn, really?
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, I love the group. It can be really fun.
It's fun group.
To explore those things. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And then the last question, I believe, is what are the lotto numbers?
What are the lotto numbers? I think that is probably the most popular sort of thing they throw at me, especially in Malta. They love that one. especially online. You know, because I have an advertisement that goes around Malta, and so a lot of the people that don't like fortune telling, you know, what are the lotto numbers? So what I did was I actually created some videos about how to, if you're going to be lucky or not, and, you know, choose a number type videos. So,
Yes.
and what I often do is I will link the video to the person saying, will I win the lottery? And I'll say, watch this video and find out, because the video tells you to choose a number. And if you choose a certain number, you'll win. And if you choose a different number, you won't win. So that's the way I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an old one. That's an old favorite.
That's not a fun question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a really boring question.
It's a boring one. It's boring. Yeah, it's boring to us.
It's not the kind of question that I want to. No, it doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, but you know, if someone wants to pay someone for a reading like that, there's way more interesting questions. Why don't you ask about?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's
something
also
that you really care about.
Yeah. Also, if someone, this is how I think about it. If someone's destined to win a lottery, they will win it regardless of
whether or not they pay for reading or you tell them they will or not.
Yeah. And if they're not going to win, no matter what combination of numbers I give them, they're not going to win because they're not destined to win. But if they're destined to win and they're coming to my shop the day before, then I probably will give them the right numbers because it's meant to be. Yeah. But it's not, I can't pull the numbers out of the sky, the winning numbers, and give it to this person if this person's not destined to win. You know, because I have thought about this, because people sort of ask me this question a lot. So I thought, but if you're not destined to win, then nobody can give you the numbers because you're not meant to win. So it's kind of like a cyclical conversation.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. We have finished the top 10 silly questions.
Wow.
Silly psychic questions.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a bit of therapy for me too. It's good to kind of talk about the ones that are annoying.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, and we can plan some more in the future if you want.
I'm sure there's more.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll do that next video. Yeah. All right. So let's finish the top 10 silly questions, psychic questions. So thanks, Amanda.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We will carry on with our videos. This is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop. Okay, bye.